things are going really, really good. Everything is great. I've reached all my goals, is what I'd like to say. Unfortunately, the opposite is more true. So the goal, go from being a part-time artist to full-time, and it's not really going anywhere. In fact, I'm at a point now where I'm kind of thinking, can I even sustain the part-time? You know, am I just going to go from part-time to no time? So things aren't going in the trajectory I wanted, and a little cause for concern. So this is just going to be a status update, just talking about that, what's on my mind at the moment, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. So January, February, March, they're normally quite slow months anyway. So I'm not mega concerned. You know, I know that just things like print sales drop off, people don't have money after, since Christmas have just passed, and you know, projects tend to sort of pick up a little bit more a little bit later in the year. So it's not completely the end of the world, and things can always change. Having done the whole freelance journey for the last 2 decades, you know, at least part time, you know, I'm used to sort of the ups and downs. It just goes like this. Sometimes, you know, you have a bad month. Sometimes you have 4 or 5 bad months in a row, and then it kind of picks up. It's just how the game is. But obviously, you want to be seeing an upward trajectory, because that kind of spurs you on to keep going and keep, you know, putting the work in. And if you're trying to get somewhere, in my case, you know, try and get to the full-time position, you want to get some feedback. You want to feel like the little things you're doing are kind of working. Kind of off tangent, but similar. Take YouTube, for example. So I'm putting out videos just to share status updates, to share my journey. So if you're interested, feel free to subscribe and keep an update on what I'm doing there. But, you know, will people subscribe? Will people even find my channel? Will people even view what I'm doing? It's quite a difficult situation, really, because the idea is you build it and then people will come to the thing that you build, and most people would just be like, nah, this is boring, I'm going to something that's far more entertaining. I'm going to go to some, you know, mega big channel or website where they've got more of a budget, they've got more resources, more experience, and I want to see what they're doing. I mean, all I can say is I'm kind of on a journey to get perhaps to there, and I guess for anyone interested in seeing how that journey progresses, then stay tuned. I'm not planning on, you know, stopping videos after this or the next one or whatever. I'm planning on keeping things going a while, seeing how things go, and time will tell. But it's tricky. It's a difficult one. For example, so I put these sort of status update type, you know, thoughts, art talk videos out about once a week. I've been doing that since, well, for about 5 months now. I get a handful of watches, views, you know, a dozen or so, a couple of dozen maybe. You know, I'm not massively bothered, because I kind of know that I'm not really trying to put the quality out there. I'm not looking at what necessarily people want and trying to deliver what people want. I'm not necessarily trying to, you know, play the algorithm. I'm not really thinking about thumbnails and titles and all that kind of stuff. So it's fine to a point, but sometimes you just sort of test the waters. And I put out these YouTube shorts, YouTube sort of mini videos as well. Just a couple every so often, just chuck one out there, see what happens. They're things that I might have posted on Instagram or TikTok. You know, posts that I think, oh, okay, well, this is done well. It's got a few thousand views. Let's just put it on YouTube. So I did that recently. It was a time lapse of me doing some marker pen colouring. And I thought, you know what? I think people would like the artwork. They'd resonate with it. They'd appreciate that this guy's gone away and he's had this sort of, it started just as a sort of black and white image, line art. And, you know, you see the process of me, or they would think, so, you know, this guy just colouring it, making it into something, you know, over the course of about 20 seconds, I think this short was. And it's a difficult one, because I think so many people have seen time lapses and things, and, you know, so many people creating amazing things on YouTube and the internet in general. I don't really expect millions of people to view the video or to like it or subscribe off the back of it, whatever. The video got, I think, 3 views, not 3 likes, not 3 comments, just 3 views. And I'm just like, okay, well, I've been doing the art thing for a few decades, and obviously, you know, I've been making money professionally doing that. And obviously, as you can imagine, I've got better over the decades of doing it. You know, my standard at one point was, you know, okay, and then it's got to where it is now, which, granted, may not be the upper echelons. I may not be in the sort of 1%er club of the best, but it's like, okay, I can do some stuff which some people would think, yeah, you know what, I like this and I would like to pay for it. And people obviously do, because they ask ask me to work on their projects or buy my artwork in the form of art prints or whatever to put on their walls. So yeah, when you obviously get to a point where it's like, right, okay, well, right now I'm the best I've ever been, and then that's not reflected in something like a view counter. And I don't really care so much about comments, likes, and views, as sort of like an ego thing. I'm not vain insofar as I want everyone to just like me and I want to just revel in the admiration of others. But it is one of those things where obviously you're putting something out into the world. You could have just shared it, which I did, with close family and friends through a private messaging thing. Uh, I'll do that. But then I think, oh, you know what? I'll put it up for the world to see as well. And you kind of hope or expect maybe a little bit more than that. And I think as well as being someone who's, for example, I've been on Instagram for several years and I've been posting fairly regularly. I don't know how many posts I've done so far, but I think I've probably put up, certainly on like Twitter or X, maybe well over 1,000, say 2,000 tweets, which are typically pictures of my artwork, and maybe several hundred or 1,000 Instagram pictures, bits of artwork, works in progress, things relating to my artwork, stuff like that. And it's like, okay, well, there was a time, certainly on an Instagram, I know YouTube's a completely different entity, different platform, but there was a time on Instagram where obviously I was posting things and managing to attain thousands of likes or views or comments or whatever it was. And then you sort of take it to another platform and you think, okay, well, I'll put this here and I'll assume, it's going to be the same sort of metrics, and you want to do that because you want to see what's working. So if I go to YouTube and I post 10 different videos, for example, I want to see what people kind of resonate with so I can then give people more of that. But when you're not really getting that data, that feedback, it's hard to know what people would kind of ideally like to see. So yeah, just to pause for a minute, if there is anything that you're thinking, okay, there's a guy who does some artwork, I've seen some of his other stuff on the internet, I've got some questions I want to ask, because I'd like him to do a video about that, go ahead, let me know, and I can do a video about that, and hopefully I could be of service in that way. But it's just weird when you're thinking, okay, let's try and sort of garner some attention in some way and sort of put something cool out into the world. I've made the effort not just to draw a pretty picture, but I've set up a camera, I've filmed it, I've condensed it into like a smaller, more manageable time lapse. So it has some entertainment value to some degree, surely. But then when it just doesn't get any interest, it's like, am I doing something right? Is it me or is it the algorithm? It's weird. I've watched videos before that talk about getting followers and likes and stuff. And most people that have social media, which is most people, if you're under the age of say 40 years old, at some point you're going to have a social media account, and how you're going to use it is going to vary. Maybe you're just dabbling. Maybe you just want the account. Like most people have a YouTube account to comment on YouTube videos. They're not looking to create channels and put videos up. And fair enough, if you haven't really got much to say, or you don't just want to put in the effort, because it always is a lot of effort for now, I think kind of a little reward, as I'm kind of pointing out. Why would you? But yeah, either way, like, you want to kind of, if you put something out into the world generally, especially from a kind of more businessy kind of perspective, you need to sort of, the goal is to get visitors of some description. I'm not looking for millions of subscribers or whatever. Most people are going to look at what I do. They're not going to get it. They're not going to like it. I get that. If I go to like an art show and there's, I don't know, let's say 350 different artists, I'll look at everyone else and I think, God, there's a lot of people doing a lot of cool stuff here. And I do think, well, why would anyone give a shit about what I do? And I obviously most people don't, because most visitors' interest is split up between the 350 people that are exhibiting, and then maybe out of those 350 there's going to be the 1%ers, the ones that are taking 99% of the custom, and everything is spread around the rest. It's something like that. It all varies. But having said all of that, I'm in a position where I've done this for a few years, sold a lot of artwork, I kind of know what I'm doing to some degree, and while I know I'm not amazing at what I do, I'm just being realistic. It's like, I think I would be more defeatist or more hard on myself if I tried to sell artwork and I've never sold anything. But, I feel like I'd like to sell a lot more, but at the same time, I've sold a few thousand art prints, say. So it's kind of like, okay, well, that's more than one or two. So yeah, just trying to be realistic with myself. I'm kind of realizing that I'm not on the upper echelons of success and professionalism and quality or whatever people are looking for, but I've got something that at least some people are looking for. And for those some people that have thought, yeah, you know what, out of 350 artists at a show, I want your artwork, or and I kind of hope that would translate to online. I think, okay, out of, I don't know, 30,000 artists that have got active art channels on YouTube, I like what you're doing, and I kind of want to see how you're getting on, or how you produce your work. I like that kind of gist, and sometimes it's good not. And I've said this quite a lot before. If you are at the top, if you're just flawless, everything you do is great to most people, even to most artists, you're like, oh, this artist is good. They know exactly what they're doing. They've learned their craft. They're at the top of their game. It's amazing. I'm going to follow them. Going to see what they're up to because this is great. That's all good and well. That's fair enough. But there's always space for people not quite there, because there are people like other artists that want to get to the top, but it seems that mountain is so far away. It's so hard, so high to climb that it just seems unattainable. So I think it's easy to sort of feel like, oh, I can't relate to any of this. It's like, yeah, you're a genius, well done. You're naturally talented, well done. You've had decades of experience, well done. I don't have that. I'm just starting out. I'm just trying to make it now. And I want something I want to kind of subscribe to people that maybe they're a bit more relatable, a bit more achievable. They're not at the top yet. They're at a stage where they're halfway there, or they've followed certain stepping stones, and I want to follow those same stepping stones to kind of get to where they are, and then surpass them, which is fine. So yeah, I think even if you're not very good at the thing that you do, if you're if you play music or sculpt or fix, I don't know, make things out of wood, program code, I don't know, whatever you do, if you're okay at it, there's going to be a few people that are like, oh, okay, this person's okay at it. I can relate to that, and it has some value in that way. It might just be me trying to justify myself, but I know I feel like that towards people. Like if I see, for example, a YouTuber who, they have a video and it only has a few hundred views on it, or their channel only has, 1,000 or less subscribers, it's not necessarily going to put me off personally looking at it, because I'm thinking, oh, okay, I can see that they're starting out to do a thing, and I see they're trying to find their feet, and I'm quite interested in that part of their journey to see where they go from there. And then I can be one of those smug people that says, oh, when they become rich and famous, I can say, oh, I've been following you since the early days. I was with you back in 2025 or whenever. No, but seriously, it's yeah, I think there is some value in being good, but not the best. For relatability's sake, it's not for other people there. It's not too far out of reach, maybe. So anyway, yeah, put some stuff on the internet, put some stuff on YouTube specifically, and I'm like, this is the best I've got. This is the best I've got. I can't go away now. Try to really work on my craft and up my quality, up my game, get better at this. It was colouring stuff by hand with markers. It's not my go-to medium. I'm a digital artist mostly, but I can do markers. I can make something look pretty decent with some marker pens. Good enough that probably people would pay money for. I know people would pay money for it because, having said, I've exhibited at shows and I've seen the sort of quality level, the standard that even at the top end, I think at the top end comic book artists, they'll do a sketch typically with pen and markers and stuff, sell it at shows for sort of £300, $500, something like that. And it's like, okay, that's what you're getting for your marker pen sketch. And I'm looking at what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm a nobody. Well, like I've said before, I'm the 2024 UK Manga Artist of the Year, according to Lux Life magazine. But yeah, generally I'm nobody, so far as most people are concerned, or even most fans of comics or whatever it is. So I kind of know my place, but at the same time, I look at my stuff and I think, if I'm being realistic, I've just produced something of the same quality as someone else that sold something for, say, $500 or whatever. So it's like, okay, well, I can do the thing. I just don't have the name behind me, so I don't have that reputation or kudos, or maybe I'm not consistent enough. I don't regularly do that kind of thing, whatever. But yeah, it's just being in that position. I'm just talking about this as a status update. It's just a update to say it's a bit disheartening, I think, when you're at a point where it's like, well, I've been doing this thing for a long time. I'm the best I've ever been at this thing, and I put it out into the world. No one gives a shit. Uh, what do you do about that? And as I was going to say, yeah, you watch a video, people talking about how to get garner more views or whatever. Typically, the advice is, look, I'll be honest, it's not the algorithm. There is no algorithm. It's just that you're creating shit work. So then you think, okay, well, firstly, a couple of things. If that's true, then my artwork, my time lapse, my YouTube short that I posted, which in my opinion was one of my, it's a representation of the best I can do, at least with marker pens. If I'm like, okay, well, if that's shit and that's the best I can do, there isn't any way to make that better. I mean, you could argue that, well, just don't do an artwork time lapse. No, but no one gives a shit about artwork time lapses. So that might be true. But so far as the actual quality of the art goes, that's it. That's the best I can do. I mean, I could work flat out for a year and I might be able to get my quality level up by 10, 15%. But if that was to equate in 10 to 15% more views, I might be lucky to get one view. So it's kind of like, okay, well, maybe if I work really hard, if I work 10 hours a day for the next, 300, I don't know how many days there is in the rest of the year, 330 days, whatever. If I work just, every single day, 10 hours a day, just focusing on honing my skills and then put another time lapse up, like I say, I might be 10% better. But if that equates to like 10% more views, it's still no more views. It's like, the kind of realization is, well, at least with that format, at least with the time lapses of my standard artwork or my my type of artwork, the style, the content, people don't want to see it or people don't care. And that's it. It's kind of like, well, you're done then. That was kind of just it's an isolated incident. I could post something up the week after. I could probably even post up exactly the same video the week after and it'll get like 10,000 views, maybe. But let's just assume that this advice or the kind of the consensus being, if you're not getting the views on a bit of social media content, that's because the content isn't worthy of the views. If we take that as fact, then it's like, well, there's nothing I can do then. There's no way for me to ever put out videos, more longer form ones like this, or short little 20-second shorts of me actually creating artwork. There's no way to do any of that and garner more attention because, well, I mean, these ones, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that, I can start talking about actual relevant topics that people want to learn about and care about. And this is just me ranting and giving a bit of a personal status update. I can appreciate this isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea, but yeah, it's just that whole setup of like trying to put something out into the world, gearing up. You sort of think, okay, well, I've spent 2 decades to get like reasonably good at my craft, and then I've created a little condensed video of me putting together the thing that is what I've been practicing for these last 2 decades. And then you're really hopeful and you're like, oh, how's it done? And it's like, it's got 2 views, one of which was probably mine. However, there's another possible scenario, the consensus that actually there is an algorithm that plays a part. That could be something. I mean, it's okay for the likes of Mr. Beast to say your content's shit, make better content and people will get it. And I mean, he can look at the metrics, he can analyze the data, he can look at his own videos, see what's working, what's not. You can kind of come from that angle. But what happens when you're literally just starting out and you don't want to do entertainment content? You know, I'm not going to do a Mr. Beast video. I'm not him. I don't want to do his content. You know, I just want to cater for the smaller niche. I mean, does the smaller niche even exist? I mean, I think so. There's other people that are doing similar-ish stuff to what I'm doing. A lot more polish, B-roll, better at presenting. I'm still not good in front of cameras, for example, compared to a lot of people. So yeah, there's limits to what I can do right now. But my point is, I've seen other people that are similar sort of stuff. You know, there's people, other channels even, that I'm looking at that are kind of on the same goal. You know, they're trying to go from either part-time artist to full-time, or no time to part-time to full-time, or no time to full-time, whatever. There's a lot of people on this journey to try to establish themselves in a career, and they want to share their journey of doing that. And I'll watch some of these and I'll think, okay, you've put out 15 videos or whatever, and you know, you've got yourself a few thousand subscribers, and every video you put out, you know, gets a few thousand views. And I'm thinking, okay, well, that's my goal, really. You know, I would like to be in a position where I'm doing that, and that's then something that I guess I'm going to have to consider for next time. I mean, I did think at one point, when I realised, you know, that maybe it is worth me taking the viewership a bit more seriously, I did think, okay, well, don't do this sort of content. Don't do a status update. Don't do a personal rant about your, you know, issues, because who are you? No one cares about you. Forget it. So there was a time when I thought, okay, next time you do something, try and make it a little bit more tailored to an audience. Find an audience, give them something that they want, that kind of thing. You know, which is still going to be the intention. But I thought, you know, for consistency's sake, given the fact that for the last 5 months I've been putting out like at least one video a week, let's continue. Let's just get a video out there for my own selfish needs to feel like I'm being consistent. Yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for following the journey. If you want to follow further, see how I get on as time goes on, then subscribe. And if there's anything you want to see, anything or issues you'd like me to talk about in upcoming videos, let me know. And I'll speak to you again soon.